ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते. So, welcome to our Saturday morning session or Saturday evening session today. First of all, I would like to extend my greetings to all of you on the occasion of Janmashtami. And since we are talking on Bhagavad Gita, it is absolutely, appropriate for us to pay tribute to that great Yogeshwar, Lord Krishna, who, came on this earth more than 5,200 years back and gave his message in terms of variety of things, but mainly in Bhagavad Gita. So let us, pray that this message is conveyed to a large number of people around the world so that we can attain peace, stability, and brotherhood in the world. So I would like to extend my greetings to all of you on this great occasion. And as I mentioned in my one of the talks recently, uh, a few weeks ago, I was in Mathura and I went to the prison where he was born. And I was really astonished to see that more than 5,200-year-old prison. And I'm sure you would all be astonished to see if you happen to go and visit that place. I would recommend everybody to go and see, and you will feel that it is actually a place which must have existed that time in the history. So now we will start a new chapter today, chapter 6 of Bhagavad Gita. And this chapter is a very special chapter because this chapter brings out the philosophy of Lord Krishna in a beautiful way. So let us start with verse number 1. श्री भगवान बोले, जो पुरुष कर्म फल का आश्रय न लेकर करने योग्य कर्म करता है, वह सन्यासी तथा योगी है और केवल अग्नि का त्याग करने वाला सन्यासी नहीं है, केवल क्रियाओं का त्याग करने वाला भी सन्यासी नहीं है. Now, you see, normally when we talk about sannyasi, what do we think? We think that the person has left this world, he has left his family, he has left his business, his employment, whatever the situation is, and he has gone and taken, place in some ashram. Either he's living in some ashram or he has retired in jungle in Himalayas and he is living a secluded life there. And he is using Bhagwa Vastra, as we call them, the saffron clothing. That is how we interpret a person who is in sannyas. And in fact, you must have seen some, processes where a person is given sannyas. This is how the sannyas is also given. They change their clothing. They take a vow to disassociate themselves with the worldly activities. Now, Lord Krishna in this chapter gives a very clear and very important definition of what he considers is a sannyasi. This is a departure from all the previous concepts of sannyasi and yogi. Here he says that you don't have to leave this world. You continue to stay in this world. You don't have to go away. That's one is that what you call sansar and sannyas. There is no contradiction between the two. They can go together. Bhog and yog, they can also go together. There is no contradiction between bhog and yog. You have to actually disassociate yourself only with one thing, that is the desire to have things. That is the anasrit. The word he has used in this word is here anasrita karm phalam. That you are not expecting anything out of the work you are doing, out of the karma you are doing. So you disassociate yourself from the result of the karma. Then even if you are living in this world, even if you are doing all the activities as a normal living being, you are a sannyasi. This is the only condition he has put up here. अनाश्रित कर्म फलम कार्यम कर्म करोति है. सब कार्य करेंगे आप. You will do everything whatever is needed to be done in the world. You are only not expecting the results of your action. That is the only thing you have to do. Then what happens? Se sannyasi cha yogi. He is sannyasi and yogi, everything is there. Now this is a very revolutionary definition of sannyasi, particularly even in that time when people were taking sannyas. They used to leave their houses, their palaces, they would retire to jungles, they will retire from all the worldly activities and they will spend their time there. Krishna is an exception to that. He was all the time doing all the activities of the world. He was doing activities in the family, he was acting in the kingdom where he was associating with the military activities, he was acting against the evil forces, and he remained completely engaged in the world. The only thing he was not engaged was the outcome of his activities. So this is a new and revolutionary definition. He gave hint to this kind of definition earlier also. Like two things he said in chapter 3, verse number 5 and 6. He said that you cannot leave karma. Karma ka tyag karna asambhav hai. You cannot get out of karma because जन्म से मृत्यु तक आपको कर्म करना पड़ता है. Even to live a life you have to do the karma. So he said inevitability of doing karma. Secondly, he said that if you कर्म का स्वरूप से त्याग करना, if you give up the karma in the form, but you keep meditating on that in your mind, मन से उसका मनन करते रहो, then he has even said that that kind of person is dambhi. He is totally hypocrite. This is the word he has used. So he says that कर्म तो आपको करना ही है, कर्म तो करना पड़ेगा. ये थर्ड चैप्टर में थर्ड, फिफ्थ एंड सिक्स्थ वर्सेज में कहा गया है. And if you do not do the karma and if you keep thinking about that karma in your mind, then you are actually a hypocrite. So he has given this hint earlier, but here has very clearly he has said that you don't have to give up any worldly activities. You only have to give up two things. That is, you don't have to worry of the outcome, you don't associate with the outcome, and don't get any undesired interest in that activity. You are doing that activity as a necessity because of your existence in the world. So these are the two things you have to, that you don't get attached either the outcome or the work, the karma action itself. Don't get attached to any one of those two. Then you are sannyasi and yogi wherever you are. Now this is indeed a what you call a revolutionary definition. A definition that anybody can be sannyasi and yogi wherever he is, provided he can follow these two things. And he clarifies it further down. So what we have to do is we have to understand what is asakti, what is anasakti, what is sakam, what is niskam. These are the words we have to understand. That we don't get attached to the outcome of the action, we don't get attached to the action itself also. We are doing these actions because this action is good for the society, or this action is required for your own existence in the world. So because of that you are doing the action, not because of your attachment either to the action or to the outcome of the action. Now if we can follow that, I think each one of us can become a sannyasi and yogi wherever we are. So this is a very revolutionary definition which is not possible to find, and this is very useful in today's world when people find it very difficult to get out of the worldly activities. The only thing they can try and do is to get out of the attachment from the worldly activities and attachment from the outcome of those activities, which is not so complicated. So this is a fantastic definition, which is very practical and which is very useful for people like us who are engaged in this world, and we are not able to completely go and retire in the jungle. And it doesn't make sense. If you look at a sannyasi in India, a large number of sannyasis take the world with them when they retire in an ashram. They go to an ashram, but in their mind the world continues to remain. In their mind, they are all the time meditating and thinking about the worldly activities. Now, that is not sannyas. The sannyas has to be an act of the mind. It is an act where you detach your mind from the action and the outcome of the action. That is where the sannyas begins, not the physical disassociation of yourself from the action. So this is a revolutionary concept, which I think can be very, very useful in today's world when we are so much engaged in the worldly activities. And now he expands it further. So let us go to the verse number 2. हे अर्जुन, जिसको सन्यास ऐसा कहते हैं, जिसको सन्यास कहा गया है, उसी को तू योग जान. मतलब सन्यास एंड योग आर बेसिकली सिनोनिमस, व्हाट ही इज सेइंग हियर. क्योंकि संकल्पों का त्यागने वाला कोई भी व्यक्ति योगी नहीं हो सकता. As long as you have desires in your mind, as long as you have attachment with the outcome of the action, you cannot become either a sannyasi or a yogi. So this is what he says. This is, I think this goes against the very accepted concept in this world, where people pretend themselves to retire from the world and go to sannyas and take ashram in it. I'm not saying that is wrong, you can do that, but that will be successful only if from your mind you are able to take away any attachment to the action and the outcome of the action. Now, how many of the sannyasis which we see in our world are detached from these two things? It would be very, very few, I am telling you. I've met many sannyasis, they are very often involved in the worldly activities. Even in they have a cadre of their own. I don't know whether how many of you know, the sannyasis have their own cadre. Ending up at the Vishwa Guru, I don't know what they call them. If you go to any of these akhadas, they call them akhadas, and there are different akhadas. And in the akhada, there is a hierarchy, that how one sannyasi is higher than the other, and the third is higher, and the fourth is higher than that. Within themselves, they have a full-fledged bureaucratic structure. Now, how do you call that a sannyas? The sannyas has nothing to do with the hierarchy and bureaucratic structure. Now, this is what we see in our own country. This is what we see in Christianity, where there are ranks of all the priests, one rank to another, and finally you go to the Pope, which is the highest. Below that is Cardinal. Similarly, in our system, similarly, I'm sure in other religions there are cadres. So these cannot be called sannyasis. Sannyasis are those who have mentally disassociated themselves from sankalp. The word which he has used here is sankalp. Sankalp is basically the thought process which give rise to another desire, and the thought process of expectation of the outcome of the action you have done. So these are the two things which if you can disassociate from your mind, then you are sannyasi wherever you are. And there cannot be any ranking of sannyasis, that this is holding this position and holding that position, which I find very strange sometimes. I have met some of these sannyasis and I was amazed. I never knew about that. But some years ago, I got to know that there is a ranking of the sannyasis in all the akhadas. So that sannyas is not really a sannyas. A sannyasi has no ranking. He has nothing to do with, who is higher and who is lower. For him, the whole world is one single entity, and it is pervaded by the Almighty. Like in Isavasya Upanishad, they say, Isavasya midam sarvam, that Paramatma ka निवास सब जगह है. जगत्याम जगत, इस पूरे संसार में परमात्मा का निवास है. तो there can be no higher hierarchy and lower hierarchy when there is continuous existence of Almighty in this entire world. So this is what he has said here, which is, I consider, a very revolutionary thinking and very practical thinking for all of us. So what he is saying that, hey Arjun, संकल्पों को त्यागो, leave all these desires and outcome of desires aside, then you are yogi and sannyasi wherever you are. And he considers yogi and sannyasi as more or less, similar or almost identical. So sannyasi, we normally feel that who has left the world. Yogi, we feel that the person who has acquired unity with the Almighty, who has linked. So actually, sannyas can lead to yoga, because you can do sannyas as one stage. I'm not saying it should not be done, but it will be successful only if you leave this attachment. Then it is successful. It is a mental exercise, and that mental exercise should be reflected in your daily life. So this is what the verse number 2 is. Then verse number 3. योग में आरूढ़ होने की इच्छा वाले मननशील पुरुष, योग की प्राप्ति में निष्काम भाव से कर्म करना ही हेतु कहा गया है. और योगारूढ़ हो जाने पर उस योगारूढ़ पुरुष का जो सर्व संकल्पों का अभाव है, वही उसके कल्याण का कारण बनता है. नाउ योगारूढ़, योग के ऊपर आरूढ़, द वर्ड हियर ही हैज यूज्ड योगारूढ़स्य, कर्म कारण मुच्यते. एक्चुअली योग के ऊपर आरूढ़ होना, दिस इज लाइक उसके ऊपर पूरी तरह से, उसके अंदर पूरी तरह से समा जाना. नाउ योग के अंदर पूरी तरह से समाएंगे कब आप? When you consider the entire existence as one entity where pervaded by the Almighty, then only you can become one. It's like a drop of water getting into the ocean and becoming ocean. Now, as long as the drop is outside the ocean, it can never be ocean. It would be either a drop or a river or a lake or whatever it may be, a pond. It will not be ocean. It will become ocean only when it merges into the ocean and leaves its own identity. That is what Kabir has also said. That is what in a way Buddha has also said. The whole concept of nirvana is that you demolish your own identity, or your own identity should become part of the higher identity of the Almighty pervading the whole universe. Then only you can become yoga root. Now this is what Krishna is saying here, that yoga root जब ही होंगे आप, जब ये difference, ये तेरा है, ये मेरा है, this is mine, this is yours, and this belongs to him, and this difference is over. Because in this world, nothing belongs to me. I came here empty-handed and I'll go empty-handed. Everything will be left behind. This is all the physical wealth which we consider and we associate ourselves is not me. It is not mine. It belongs to the Almighty, because He is the one who has created this whole universe, or He is the one who is pervading the whole universe. So once we get into that philosophical thinking, that nothing belongs to me here, I am part of the whole existence where Almighty is pervading, then this difference will dissolve. And once this difference is dissolved, then you become one with the ocean, you one become with the Paramatma, and then you become Yoga Root. So Yoga Root is basically to becoming one with the Almighty, which is all pervading, which is omnipresent, which is omniscient, uh, which is everywhere. And there's another word in Sanskrit which says Atmavat sarvbhutesu ye paschati se paschati. Atmavat sarvbhutesu. Sab bhutton ko. Bhut means not only the human beings or not only the living beings. Bhut means all that exists, the entire existence. Even a mountain is called Bhut. We call Panch Mahabhut. Panch Mahabhut are the air and the water and all those five basic elements. They are also called Bhut. So, sab bhuton ko, that is entire nature and all the species of life, if you consider them like your own self, then you are one with them. And that is what the meaning of Yoga Root is. That once you are, attaining that unity with the rest of the universe and you dissolve your own identity, then you are one with the Almighty. And that is called Yoga Root. So this is what leads to our complete liberation. Then our own existence is dissolved, and we are one with the Almighty. So now next verse number 4. जिस काल में न तो इंद्रियों के भोगों में और न कर्मों में आसक्त होता है, ये दो चीजें हैं, इंद्रियों के भोगों में और कर्मों में, उस काल में सर्व संकल्पों का त्यागी पुरुष योगारूढ़ कहा जाता है. नाउ इंद्रियों के भोग. नाउ लेट अस imagine a situation when you are in a deep sleep. In the deep sleep, you are not attached to any sense organs. The mind is also at rest. So आप किसी चीज में आश्रित नहीं होते. You are not attached to anything. That is the state which is also called pragya avastha in Sanskrit. Pragya avastha means pure, existence. So that is the state where we have to reach. Now, indriyon ke bhogon mein hum, even in dream state, we are attached to sense organs. We do all the activities. We have this is mine and this is your, even in the dream state. In the Vaishnava state where we are, of course, we are in that state where we differentiate. But once in this Jagrat Avastha, in the waking state, the present state we are in that state, we stop associating our sense organs for pleasure and the outcome of our actions. इंद्रियों के भोगों में और कर्मों में भी आसक्त नहीं होता, but that you have to do this because of, whatever you consider appropriate, whatever you consider your duty, which has to be done, because in the first verse he has said, कर्मे करने योग्य कर्म करता है, कार्यम कर्म करोति है, जो करने योग्य कर्म करता है. करने योग्य कर्म का मतलब मेरे विचार में there are two varieties of karne yoga karma. One is for your own existence, which are necessary, which are, for example, you have to feed yourself, you have to take rest, you have to do the essential activities for your own survival, for your own existence. That is one karma yoga karma. दूसरा करने योग्य कर्म है which is done for the welfare of the people at large. That you are not doing it for yourself, for the rest of the humanity. So these are the two variety of karma which you do, and you do without any asakti, not thinking that you are doing for the good of the others. You are thinking that this is my duty to do it. This is the purpose I have been sent into this world, and I am performing that purpose. And I'm not doing for others because there's no other here. This is not you and me. It is all one entity. So whatever I'm doing is for this single entity, and that is what we earlier we understand that is called yajna. Once you dedicate yourself to this universe and you discharge your functions for the activities, smooth running of this universe, then you are involved in the yajna. So that is what Krishna is emphasizing here, that once you are able to detach yourself from the sense organs and not interested in the bhog, you are doing the activity. He himself did, but you are detached. You are doing it in a detached form without any interest in it. If it happens, fine. If it doesn't happen, fine. So that should be the approach. Similarly, in the कर्मों में भी आसक्ति नहीं कि मेरे को ये करना है, मेरे को ये करना है, ऐसा करना है, ऐसा करना. No, whatever you are doing as yajna, dedicated to the welfare of this whole entity called universe. So this is how he has explained here, that as long as you are able to do these two things, then you are yoga root. This is what सर्व संकल्प, जिस काल में न तो इंद्रियों के भोगों में और न ही कर्मों में आसक्त होता है, उस काल में सर्व संकल्पों का त्यागी पुरुष योगारूढ़ कहा जाता है. Once you are able to detach from these two things, you are yogarood, and then you are sannyasi, yogi, yogarood, everything go together. Then you are one with the Almighty. Now the next verse is very fascinating, and in fact it uses the word Atma. I think maximum time I have seen in any verse, 6 times I think here. We will understand that. Verse number 5. अपने द्वारा, that is, अपने द्वारा अपना संसार समुद्र से उद्धार करें और अपने को अधोगति में नहीं डाले, क्योंकि ये मनुष्य आप ही तो अपना मित्र है और आप ही अपना शत्रु है. उद्रेदा तत्मात्मनम, that is one. Then आत्मय हन्य तो आत्मा बंधुरात्मय रिपुरात्मन. This many times this word Atma has been used here, and the meaning of this we have to understand very clearly. Firstly, he says that आप ही अपने शत्रु हैं और आप ही अपने मित्र हैं. So you are your own enemy and you are your own friend. You don't have to blame others for something going wrong with you, or you don't have to praise yourself for something which you might have done, thinking that I have done some good. No. This has also come in Upanishads, that your mind is the source of your all pleasure and pain in this life, not anything else. Now this word Atma has been used in a different way here. You see, we have 5 seats in the body. That is what we have learned before. We call them, first is called Annamaya Kosha, the Kosha which is visible, which is made of the food, the body itself. Then we have Pranamaya Kosha, which is the energy system inside, which gives energy to act, and to make this machinery work. Then we have Manomaya Kosha, then we have Vijnanmaya Kosha, and then we have Anandamaya Kosha. One course is larger than the other. The body looks larger, but actually this is the least important. Then comes Pranamaya Kosha, and then comes Manomaya Kosha, and then comes Vijnanmaya Kosha, and then comes Anandamaya Kosha. In fact, in some of the Upanishads, they don't call them Kosha. They call them one with Atma, because all these 5 koshas put together make an entity. And this entity is linked with our Anandamaya Kosha, that is the Atma, ultimate reality inside us. Once this reality inside us leaves us, then all these koshas become defunct. So some people, and sometimes this phrase Atma has been used to describe all these 5 koshas as entity. And therefore this verse says that all these 5 entities which exist in our body, they should be dedicated. Each one of them should be dedicated towards unity for the Almighty. So we use our body for that. We use our senses. Body also has senses. So body and senses we use. We use our pranic energy, that energy of movement and all that, that is we use for unity with the Almighty. We use our thinking process, the mental process, manomaya kosha, also for developing unity with the Almighty. Then Vijnanamaya Kosha, that is the our power of logic, our power of vivek, distinction, good and bad and whatever. We use that also for unity with the Almighty. And then of course the Atma itself we use for unity with the Almighty. So that is why in this verse he has emphasized on all these aspects, that all these entities which are at our disposal, we should use them for our own good, and that good is to become yoga root, or that good is to become one with the supreme power, the Almighty. Once we are able to do that, we have to do it with our body, we have to do it with our mind, we have to do with our logic, vivek, and we have to do with our sense organs, our energies, pranic energy inside. All that has to be dedicated to one single objective, that is, we demolish the distinction between you and me. We consider everything as one single entity, and then we become part of that, like a drop goes into the ocean and becomes ocean. It is exactly this position that we have to follow. Then we are following what Lord Krishna has said here and what he means in this chapter. In this chapter, he clearly means us that we are yogi, we are sannyasi, we have everything, provided we follow these two things in life and dedicate our entire existence, all the five koshas of our existence, for the unity with the Almighty. नेक्स्ट वर्स, जिस जीवात्मा द्वारा मन और इंद्रियों सहित, नाउ ही एक्सपेंड्स ऑन दैट, मन और इंद्रियों सहित शरीर जीता हुआ है, वह जीवात्मा अपने आप का मित्र है, और जिसका मन और इंद्रियों सहित शरीर नहीं जीता हुआ है, वह अपने आप में शत्रु की तरह से बरतता है. सो नाउ हाउ कैन वी बिकम आवर फ्रेंड? We can become our friend if we are able to control our mind, our body, and our sense organs. If we are able to direct them in the right direction, then we are our own friend. If we are not able to control them, they are driving us, then we are our enemy. Most of the time, you will realize that the mind drives us or the sense organs drive us. This has also been described in chapter 2, I think verse number 62 to 65, that how a particular sense can drive us, how the mind can drive us. And this happens every day. We are driven by our mind most of the time. You observe your activities. Who was guiding you for a particular thing? It was your mind telling me, okay, let me go and see a film. Mind is telling you are not, consciousness is nowhere in the picture. Or your sense organs are telling, your eyes are telling, let me go and see some, a beautiful scene, so I should go there. So these are the directions given by sense organs and mind, which we are following most of the time. I think 90% time in our life, we are driven by mind and sense organs. 90% of it. When we grow old and when we are able to realize this reality, then we slowly start governing our mind and sense organs. Then we think, why my sense organs are behaving like this? I should bring them under check. Why my mind is, roaming here and there? Why? I should bring it under check. So the meditation is actually a good means to bring the mind under check and also the sense organs under check. That is why the importance of meditation in our spiritual thought. So this is the process which we have to adopt. We have to bring these two things under check, the sense organs and the mind, and of course the body is included in that. The body, sense organs, and mind, once they are under check, then I think we are in the right process and we are our own friend, and we can attain the liberty which we are looking for. liberty is this liberty. The moksha means this, that you are your own master. You are not driven by somebody else. The driver is not driving you, but you are the driver. Now the mind is the driver most of the time. The sense organs are the driver most of the time. Now that position should change and you become driver, you take their place. We have seen that, that analogy of a rath, that in the rath there's a space all outside. That space are like, the space outside is like the sense organ, they're pulling. And then the horses are like the mind, which is going here and there. And the lagam of the horses is like intellect, which is controlling the mind. And the person who is driving is actually the vivek, which is using that. And the owner is the one who is sitting there. Now the owner should be able to control all those activities, and then only he will be called owner. Otherwise, he will be driven by the horses. The horses will take him wherever they want to take him. The horses are the senses. Actually, horses are senses, and the space is, what you call tanmatra. That is the visay, the subject of the senses. So they go into those subjects. The horses take you there, and the lagam is the mind, and then the person who is sitting controlling the lagam is Vivek, and the owner is sitting inside the rath. So once we are able to control all that process, then we are yoga root, then we are yogi, we are sannyasi. We are not driven by our body, mind, and senses. We are driving the body, mind, and senses the way we want to drive. So this is what he has said. This is actually, these two verses are the crux here, that how we regulate our whole system to become one with the Almighty. Then next is सर्दी गर्मी और दुख सुख दुख आदि में, मान और अपमान में, जिसके अंतःकरण की वृत्तियां भली भांति शांत हैं, ऐसे स्वाधीन आत्मा वाले पुरुष के ज्ञान में सच्चिदानंद घन परमात्मा सम्यक प्रकार से स्थित है. अर्थात उसके ज्ञान में परमात्मा के सिवा कुछ भी नहीं है. Now this is the point which Lord Krishna will repeat again. He says samyak or sambhav. These are the two things. Sambhav means, this is also Sage Patanjali has used this word, चित्तवृत्ति निरोध, that आपकी चित्त की वृत्तियां ऊपर नीचे नहीं जाएं. They should not be inflated because somebody praised you. Somebody says, oh, you are a great guy, your ego goes up. Somebody gives you abuse, then you come down substantially. So all these things happen, these ups and downs, once they have reached a point where you are not impacted by outside forces. If somebody is abusing you or somebody is praising you, you are not impacted. If there is a heat outside, there is cold outside, you are not impacted. All that, somebody is giving you honor, somebody is not giving you honor, or is giving you dishonor, you are not impacted. I think this is the state. I've seen a lot of people trying to get these awards. So they organize these things. They call themselves, they organize Padma Award. They will ask people to file their nomination. They want to organize these Nobel Prizes. They collect a group of followers and ask them to promote them and write to various authorities to get. Now that is not anywhere you can't call them yogi or sannyasi, not at all. In fact, a yogi and sannyasi has no interest in doing all that. He's not promoting himself. So he is not accumulating man, he is not distracted by apman. He is not looking for praise. He is not looking for criticism. He is impacted by none. His vritti remains the same. He is like, without any variation in his thinking process. Now, it is not easy. I have experimented with myself. When somebody praises you, you feel happy. Somebody gives you abuses, then you feel unhappy. It happens. But with slowly, when you meditate on this, you feel, why should I be impacted by somebody else's views? He has his views, let him have his views. The world behaves. You will always find people who are praising you or who are, abusing you. Always find, whatever you do in life. I told you the story of the camel and the grandson. And let me repeat that story again today. In the desert, there was a camel, there was a grandson, and the grandfather. They were traveling from one village to another. All the two sat down on the camel and they started their journey. After 5 kilometers, a group of people met them. They said, "Look at these cruel people. They have no pity for this camel. Both of them enjoying the ride, and this camel is suffering in this hot heat. It's very hot. The camel is suffering." So the grandfather said, "Yeah, they are right. I should have pity for the camel. After all, the camel is also part of this universe and a living species." So he got down and he started walking. After another 5 kilometers, another group of people met. And then they said, "Look at this young man. He has no pity for his grandfather. He has energy. He can walk. His grandfather is old. He has no energy. He cannot walk. While he is riding the camel and grandfather is, walking in this heat, suffering." So the young man said, "Yes, I think he's right." So he got down and he forced his grandfather to ride the camel. They went another 5 kilometers, another group of people. They said, "Look at this old man. He's anyway going to die. He has no pity for this young guy who is suffering in this heat." So whatever you do in life, you will find praise and criticism. Leave that praise and criticism outside. Don't allow that to be touched to your heart. This is what Krishna is saying here. Don't allow the outside world to touch you inside. You are complete inside. You are Poon inside. Don't allow that to enter and disturb your balance. Now, this is what Krishna is saying, that once you are able to control that process, then you are Swadhin. तब आप जो हैं पूरी तरह से अपने आप को जीत चुके हैं. I think this is what is needed. That is nirvana. That is moksha. You are liberated completely once you are not impacted by the events outside. Outside events are left outside. You are inside and you are on your own. You are not impacted by them. I think this is what we have to learn, and this comes with practice. This requires a lot of meditation. At the end of the day, each one of us should think about the activities which impacted on him during the day. Sometimes they impact, and then try to, do away with that impact. If you try that every day, I think you will succeed. That is my experience. And I'm not saying that I'm completely free, but I can say that I'm largely free now from the outside impact. I have my own existence and I'm happy with that. Why should others, make me happy or unhappy? Why should I be controlled by others? I should be my own controller. And that is what in these two verses he has explained. So once you are doing that, then you are Swadhin. That is, you control yourself. Then verse number 8. जिसका अंतःकरण ज्ञान विज्ञान से तृप्त है, जिसकी स्थिति विकार रहित है, जिसकी इंद्रियां भली भांति जीती हुई हैं, और जिसके लिए मिट्टी, पत्थर और सोना सब समान है, वह योगी भगवत को प्राप्त हो चुका है. Now this is the summary of all that. That ज्ञान विज्ञान से तृप्त है. ज्ञान विज्ञान से तृप्त जब होगा, then we start meditating on all these issues one by one, and then your knowledge will come to your help, and then you will become, start controlling your own activities, and you will become your own master. That is the first thing. Then the vikar will come. Vikar rahit ho jayega. All the vikars will gradually go away. It's a slow process, but it's a process which works. अभ्यास से धीरे धीरे, slowly it works. So once you have developed your gyan vigyan, the meditation process, the thinking process, the vivek inside, using all that on your day-to-day life, then you are able to get rid of all the vikars, all the wrongs which come and which are impacting you from the outside world. And then Indriya Jitu, naturally, once you have done, then Indri will be automatically under your control. Then you will not be impacted by outside activities and outside attractions. You will do what you want to do. Then whether somebody is abusing you, or somebody is praising you, or you see something beautiful, or you something not beautiful, now all those things will not make an impact. Somebody is wealthy or poor, it will not impact you internally. You will be completely disassociating yourself from those outside activities. Then what he says, the मिट्टी पत्थर और सोना सब आपके लिए बराबर है. And actually बराबर हैं ही. सोने को who gives the importance to gold? It's only we who give the importance to gold. The humanity which has given. For example, for a cow, there's no difference between gold and a stone. It's the same thing for the cow. It doesn't matter. She won't choose between the two. It's only we who make the distinction. So whether it is gold or whether it's a stone, it doesn't matter. And after death, it doesn't matter. In the deep sleep, it doesn't matter whether it's gold or you have that state. So that is the pure state, and that state can be reached. And once we have done that, then we are yogi. We are already established in the Almighty. Bhagavad prapti ho chuki hai us aadmi. He is in total what we call samadhi, one with the Almighty. So we'll take one more verse today. सूरद मित्र वैरी उदासीन मध्यस्थ, द्वेष व बंदीगणों में, धर्मात्माओं में और पापियों में समान. Somehow, whoever it is, don't allow the outside world to impact on you. Whether the person is papi, whether the person is doing wrong, it doesn't mean that you don't have to fight against the wrong. You have to fight against the wrong. That's what Krishna did. He fought against Duryodhana. He allowed, in fact, he's promoting Arjun to fight. It doesn't mean that. But he doesn't hate Duryodhana. Mahatma Gandhi also said that you don't have to hate the person, you have to hate the ill which he's doing, the evil which is coming out. That should be hated, not the individual himself. That distinction is not easy to make, but that distinction comes with gradual, practice. So we don't have to hate anybody, we have to hate the evil which is coming out in the world. And for that we have to fight. So here he says, whether a person is good to you, he is your friend, he is your enemy, he is, udasin means he is neutral to you, he is madhyast means he is, helping you or not helping you, he has dvesh against you means he has hatred against you, whether he is bandhugan, he is, part of your family, you become one with all of them. You look the entire world pervaded by the Almighty. These are different facets of life which exist. And like in a garden, there are variety of flowers. Some are blue and some are red and some are white and some are, different colors. They all make that garden beautiful. Similarly, all these facets of life exist in this world. The Almighty has given these facets to the world. They are all reflection of His own entire personality, and therefore we don't have to hate anybody. We have to just accept them as they are. But at the same time, we don't leave our resolve to fight against evil. Evil should be fought. That is another thing which Krishna has, promoted through his own example. He was the living example of Bhagavad Gita. He lived in this world. That's what he says. And then he was still Yogeshwar. And he was doing everything for preserving the good, but without getting attached to anything. So I think this is what we have to understand, and we have to continue with this resolve that we will live in this world. If everybody becomes sannyasi, then the sannyas will become the jungles will become world. If the whole city of, for example, I am in Dallas today, the whole city of Dallas goes and lives, start living in jungles, and wears Gerwa Vastra and all that. So the jungle will become city. How does it matter? Wherever you people go, you will make it a city. The attachment will stay there. So it is not that. The Krishna is saying that wherever you are, you stay there, do your activities, just detach from the action and the outcome of the action. That's it. Do it as yajna, as he has said in chapter number 5. Do it as yajna. Do it as your contribution to the smooth running of the world. So I think the sambhav is one thing which he has emphasized in these two verses, that everybody should be treated and they should not be able to impact on you. Why should you be impacted? Why you should become paradhin to their comments? उनके कमेंट्स और बिहेवियर से आप पराधीन क्यों हो रहे हैं? That is what he is saying. You should not be impacted by that. You are independent. You are, part of the Almighty Himself. The Almighty lives in you. You remain independent, and that is Swadhinta. So I think we will conclude here today. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them.